And if I had to be another person to stand up, if I think, after really going through this, and looking at the files and looking at the case, if I really feel that Karen Read didn't do this and I have to be a voice that stands up and helps, I will.
We are expecting to learn more about the allegations against the girlfriend of a Boston police officer who was found unresponsive in the snow Saturday morning. I-Team sources say Karen Read was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
We're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
Just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life.
Yeah.
I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times she admitted to it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question. She asked a question, which is very different. She didn't admit to anything.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Karen Read's not going to fold. Karen Read's not going to give up. Defense team's not going to quit. The Free Karen Read movement is going to continue. We will continue to raise funds for her. We will continue to do standouts across Massachusetts, across the nation, across the world to let everybody know what's going on here in the state of Massachusetts, the corruption. And we will continue to get the word out there. Believe me. Believe me. All right. Welcome back in, everybody, to Let's Talk Live here on the LTL Media Channel. I hope everybody is having a fantastic Wednesday. We had a lot of action in the Karen Read retrial today. We heard from Dr. Wolf, and we also heard from Christina Hanley. She's a Mass State Police Crime Lab tech, and that took up most of the day. And of course, the 3 o'clock bell came, and it's Wednesday. No court Thursday, Friday, or Monday. So it's White Claw time. It is White Claw time. And Bev dismissed court early and said, jurors, please return on Tuesday. Also, at the very beginning of the day, a lot of nervousness in the courtroom. A lot of nervousness in the courtroom as Judge Bev had to talk to every single juror individually. And I just watched Twitter blow up like a freaking firestorm. I saw Twitter blow up like a firestorm. I had people texting me, what is going on? What is happening? And we'll talk a little bit about that as we get into the show. So again, I want to welcome everybody in. I don't have Jess Machado with me tonight. Unfortunately, she had some things that have came up. And we are going to reschedule for tomorrow night at 9 p.m. So I'm going to do a recap show today of day 19 and 20. So I hope that you find this valuable as all of the lives here on Let's Talk Live. So I want to welcome everybody in. Moderators, members, subscribers, please make sure to smash the like button as we come in. I want to backtrack a little bit. I want to go back to day 19. I want to go back to yesterday. Man Shannon got Alessi'd. He got Alessi'd, and I'm trying to start that hashtag on Twitter. So if you can, and let's say Robert Alessi is testifying, let's start that hashtag Alessi'd, ALESSID, and we'll get that rolling on X. But anyway, Man Shannon lied about his credentials, and I'm having a hard time believing. I'm having a hard time believing someone that lies about their credentials, and the company that he works for, Aperture, is lying about his credentials as well. And we saw the fudginess with the profile. The LinkedIn profile link gets dropped right away. They start backing out of his education. This whole profile went upside down, left and right. And I, as a juror, I have to be sitting there and going, am I really seeing this in a case right now that the Commonwealth thinks that they're going to bring this witness up to the stand and believe that he's credible to talk about tech stream data, to talk about the experiments and the information that he received in his interpretation of the data. Sorry, I don't believe people that lie about their credentials. And I also don't believe reporters, journalists, crime investigators, whatever you want to call him, like John DePietro, that is literally lying in court about what is going on. And we're going to get into that as well. But again, let's backtrack. Day 19, Robert Alessi with Man Shannon. Let's play that video here and watch Man Shannon get Alessi'd about his credentials.
The time you left the witness stand yesterday until this moment, have you talked to anyone about this case?
No, sir, I have not.
Has a filing ever been made in any court?
Real quick, Robin, thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. So I'm going to try something tonight, and you all let me know if you like it. You can see here, it's a new feature that StreamYard has started on their platform where we can use a running chat over the overlay. You let me know if you like it. If you don't, we'll take it down, and we will be away with it. But again, I'm just experimenting with it tonight, and you'll be able to see how everybody's chatting without actually looking in the chat. You give me the heads up. If you don't like it, we can take it down. It's not a problem. All right, let's roll through here and watch Man Shannon get Alessi'd.
In which your educational background has been misrepresented?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Pardon me?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did I understand that you're based out of the Aperture office in Texas?
Yes, I am.
And are you aware of a case in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Texas, Marshall Division, titled Jeffrey Glover and Teresa Glover versus Graphic Packaging International, LLC? Are you familiar with that case?
Yes, I am.
And is it correct that in that case, well, tell me how you are participating in that case, sir.
So I'm no longer participating in that case. So if I believe correctly, that would have been a accident reconstruction case from, I don't recall, a year or two ago.
And so it was a case that you did participate in, correct?
Yes, I did.
And what was your role in that case?
Sure. So my role in that case was an accident reconstructionist.
And
you submitted a CV to a federal trial. Probably federal courts don't like people that submit CVs and lie about them in trials that they're going to appear as a witness. Let's roll on.
did you provide any testimony, deposition, or otherwise in that case?
No, I did not.
Did you, in that particular case, there were, like all cases, filings made, correct?
I'm sure there were, yes.
With regard to Exhibit EEE, do you recognize the second page, and do you recognize any stamping at the top of each of those pages?
Yes, I do.
And can you describe what that stamping is?
Sure. So that is stamping for a file date of 8/7/2023.
And is that a...
I love this I love this lawyer tactic here too. Robert Alessi walks over, gets very close to the witness box. It puts pressure on the witness, and I love the fact that he's he's up there, and we didn't see this a lot in the first trial. I don't think I saw it at all in the first trial. Maybe once or twice, Alan Jackson, but Robert Alessi seems to be using this a lot lately, especially with the Commonwealth's experts. And I love this because it puts them on the hot seat.
Stamping of a federal court.
That I'm not sure.
If I were to show you a document, might a document refresh your recollection as to whether...
Sure.
Exhibit EEE is a filing in a federal court.
Yes.
May I, Your Honor?
Sure.
I am showing you,
Did you show those to Mr. Brennan?
thank you, Your Honor. I believe I did, but I want to make sure.
And just let me know if we need to, Mom.
We will, Your Honor. Thank you. Can I mark each of
Yes.
these for identification? They're,
Yep.
let me just give one first. Sir, I am showing you what has been marked as Exhibit FFF for identification and ask whether or not this document can refresh your recollection as to whether the court filing that you reviewed in Exhibit EEE is indeed a federal court.
Yes, it is.
So that document refreshes your recollection that what has been filed as represented in EEE is a filing in a federal court, correct, sir?
Correct.
Now, what I'd like to do is to draw your attention to the second page of this exhibit. Is that a curriculum vitae of you and a picture of you?
Yes, it is.
And sir, under education,
Objection.
I will,
The objections stay.
right. Do you,
Do you want to bring it over? and we can take
I
it
will,
there?
Your Honor, I will.
Jurors, feel free to stand up and speak.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess, I'm going to have to get a little closer to
Sure.
proximity. Bear with me, please. What I would like to do, sir, is to put before you again Exhibit FF for identification and Exhibit EE for identification. And what I would like to do is to ask you some questions, sir, with regard to the process in the case.
Okay.
Are you aware, or do you recall in this litigation, that as typical in litigation, including federal courts, that as part of the litigation process, the parties have to designate their expert witnesses? Are you aware generally of that process?
Generally, yes.
Yes. And have you participated in the documents that need to be prepared for an attorney or a party to prepare documents and submit them to a court to establish the designation of expert witnesses?
No, I have not.
And so you have never participated or never been aware of a process like this?
No, I'm aware of a process, and that process goes through other staff members
Okay, so it goes through other staff members where?
at Aperture.
Correct.
Correct.
Are you aware that that process is occurring?
This guy's red as a tomato. So now what he's going to try to do is distance himself from this fake CV and just say, well, hey, you know, I hand over my credentials. I pass the CV through my company. They're the one that takes care of this. It's blah, 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 blah. That's what he's going to do. He's going to distance himself. And that look right now on his face is like, oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Though it may be done by other staff at Aperture.
Yes, I am.
And in this instance, you were aware in this litigation that staff at Aperture needed to submit documents in support of an expert witness designation, correct? Even though you may not have done it yourself, you were aware that some person or persons at Aperture were performing that process, correct?
Correct.
And they were performing that process so that you could be designated as an expert witness in that case, correct?
Correct.
And so you were aware of the process, you were aware they had to submit documents that would establish your qualifications as an expert in the case so that you could be designated as an expert witness, correct?
Correct.
And now specifically with regard to Exhibit EEE for identification with these court filings, etc., even though you may not have done it yourself, were you aware that this document, which is EEE, was submitted as part of the expert designation process we were talking about?
Not this specific document, no.
Were you aware that a CV was needed to be submitted on your behalf as part of the designation process?
Yes.
So you were aware a CV had to be submitted, but you're saying you don't recall this specific one being submitted?
Correct.
Does the timestamp up at the top of each page of Exhibit EEE, including this page that is your CV, match the timestamp, or is it different from the timestamp
Nope.
at the top of Exhibit FFF?
No, that is the same.
So it's exactly the same.
Yes.
And have you been involved in processes in courts where your qualifications, including your CV, have had to be submitted to courts to establish a designation as an expert witness?
Yes.
And can you conclude from these
Yeah,
documents?
and I love it because Brennan gets up and goes, well, you know, just because you don't have a degree doesn't make you an expert. That's pretty fucking important in a case when you're testifying. And if you're lying about your credentials, your credibility in my book goes all out the window. You know, this is important fucking shit that's going on in this trial. It's very important. You need to make sure that you're getting everything correct. And to bring an expert or witness up, an expert witness that's being paid by the Commonwealth to testify, and this guy lies about his credentials, everything that he said, if I was a juror, would be thrown out the window. There is no professional integrity there. No professional integrity. And the Reed team is smashing, absolutely smashing these Commonwealth experts, smashing them, absolutely smashing them. Let me get to this. Melissa, thank you so much. She said, I need a White Claw. Brian, now that you have done a few live in-person shows you set up, are you loving it? I love it. I think it's great. There's still some things I want to iron out. Lighting has been a big challenge in here because when you're sitting in front of lights, you think that they're a lot brighter. And when I've been watching some of the playback, they've been a lot darker than I really want them. So still ironing out some details. Hopefully the audio is sounding a lot better tonight. And, we'll get there. It's going to take time. I never knew anything about audio and visual and streaming. I'm learning all of that. And there's not like someone that I can call and go, hey, can you come in here and help me set all this stuff up? I've tried. I have tried to do that. I've tried to reach out to audio and visual experts to pay them for their time, and they will not come. So fuck it. I'll just learn it and do it on my own. And that's what it is. Anyway, thank you so much for the 10. We're going to keep ripping through here. And then I want to get to some day 20 breakdown as well, too.
Documents, including the timestamps, that the submission that was made to the court to establish your status and as an expert witness consisted of exhibits F, 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 and E, E, E.
Objection.
I'm going to allow that. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I move E, 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 and F, F, F into evidence.
Yeah.
You need one more step.
And, sir, do E, 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 and F, F, F fairly and accurately represent the submission of documents in support of a designation of expert witness in this case?
Yes, as far as I can tell.
Your Honor, I offer these two into evidence.
I'm going to allow it over here.
Thank you.
Briefing.
Yes, come on up.
Made him go through all that for nothing.
You have your approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm going to have to stand here again, Mr.
Sure.
Burgess.
Uh-oh.
So what I would like to do, Your Honor, at this time is to offer into evidence Exhibit E, 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 and Exhibit F, F, F for identification.
As one exhibit?
As one exhibit.
All right, we'll do that. One court reporter.
And that would be yours.
Exhibit 193.
I like this. You're all set says he wasn't even smart enough to include a college that offers a degree. That degree. He knows he sucked. But the thing is, I look at this. The thing that I look here is how, if you're the Commonwealth, how did you think you were going to get around this? How did you think you were going to get around this? Did you not think that the defense team was going to question this? That they were going to dig into this guy? You know what it tells me? That the Commonwealth didn't do their homework on Man Shannon. They didn't vet this guy enough. And again, it becomes the Trooper Paul situation. You're just going to get up there and you're going to do it because we need you. We need that guy. It's fine with me because the case is absolutely collapsing in front of their face. And there's rumors out there that there's only going to be one more witness called by the Commonwealth, Judd. I think that's the name. The other Aperture guy, is it Judd? What the hell was his name? But I believe that's Christina Rexer's reporting it today after court. So that means no Higgins, no Brian Albert, no Proctor. Let's see. I don't think it's Walter. Did I get the name wrong? I know I have it in my notes somewhere. Welcher. Why did I say Judd? Why did I say Judd? But I'm hearing they're only calling one more person. And then they're going to arrest. That's the apparent rumor out there. It's been disastrous for the Commonwealth. All right, let's go.
Now in evidence as Exhibit
Judd
193.
Welcher, thank you.
I would like to draw
Knew
your
there was a Judd in
attention
there.
to the fourth page, which is your CV. And further, if I could, sir, draw your attention to the category of education, where it says BGS. Is it correct that there you state Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Alabama - Birmingham, Alabama, comma, 2024? Did I read that correct?
You did read that correctly. And this was filed in 2023.
Understood. So now what I'd like to do, Your Honor, is to, ma'am, keep this for a moment, Your Honor, give it to the witness as needed. Thank you. With Your Honor's permission, I would like to publish a document that is already in evidence.
Okay.
Actually, maybe two, 183 and 184. Let's start with 183. Let's expand it. And then, Mr. Wolf, do we have what has just been to publish as well? So what I'd like to do is to publish first, with the court's permission.
Why was I so stuck on that first name? Judd, thinking that was the last name. Yeah, Welcher, Judd Welcher.
Exhibit 193.
Oh, this
that
guy's
we were
going to
just
get
talking
creamed
about,
right now.
so the jury can see what has been the subject of discussion. And sir, if you, Mr. Wolk, if you could just enlarge, all we need is the education section.
Uh-oh.
Now, Mr. Burgess is up.
Houston, we got a problem. Houston, we got a problem.
I heard it correctly in questions from Mr. Brennan. You answered the question that whether you had ever filed a document that misstated your educational background in a court. Do you recall that question asked of you?
Yes, I did.
And your answer was no, correct, sir?
Correct.
So let's look at this document, which we've just gone through, was filed in federal court in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Texas,
Ouch.
Marshall Division, which is a federal court. And attached to it is your CV, and in the line of education, it lists under BGS, Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, 2024. You see that, sir?
I do, yes.
Now, you stated, and now what I'd like to do is do a, is there any qualification whatsoever in that line, that reference to BGS, qualifications at all, explanation, sir? Is there anything?
I don't know what you mean.
It's just a statement, right? There's words there, there's nothing after it that explains what's intended, correct?
Correct.
Now what I'd like to do, Your Honor, is to go to what was filed in this case, which is in evidence, and we'll go to 183 and then 184.
Ouch.
Now, in what has been filed in this case, there is a currently pursuing at the end after University of Alabama - Birmingham, Alabama, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Let's go back, please, to Exhibit 193.
Oh.
There is no currently pursuing there, is there, sir?
There is not, but that was filed in 2023, so that would be an expected graduation date of 2024.
Okay, so it was, this document was filed.
Sir, you're lying. I mean, you're lying. You are lying. You are lying. You've put a date there. I don't care that it's expected. Why are you not putting currently pursuing back then? You've rubber stamped it. You've put it on a document. 2024. Oh, it was the expected date that I was going to get it. So you're lying. You are lying. You don't own that degree. You haven't worked towards that degree. That's a lie. That's a flat out lie.
Filed in 2023. However, there's nothing in this document that in any way leads the reader to believe anything other than the degree is obtained on 2024, correct?
He's so fucking red right now. He's glowing in the dark. Look at his cheeks. He is so red right now. He's glowing in the dark.
Correct.
So the only way somebody in the court system or a judge or a jury would know anything about this is to have to know about court filing dates, correct? I'll ask it another way, Mr. Burgess. You know how to write. Let's go back to 183 and 184. You know how to write currently pursuing on your CV, correct?
Correct.
And writing currently pursuing lets the reader know that you don't have that degree, correct?
Objection.
In that form, it's sustained.
You intend by writing currently pursuing, don't you, sir, that anybody reads this to know that you do not have a bachelor degree, correct?
Correct.
Now let's go back to what you filed in federal, what was filed in federal court in that case.
All right, let me pause here for a second. I just want to show you what's going on. I just looked at the Aperture website. Let's pull this up. He's still on there. He's still a credible person via the Aperture website. But look what I see here. His education has changed. His education has changed. They changed his education on the Aperture website. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. They have changed his education. All right, let's go back and watch Man Shannon get his ass handed to him. Get Alessi'd. Here we go.
It does not have the words currently pursuing, correct?
It does not.
So the reader, it doesn't have that verbiage, correct?
Correct.
So isn't it the correct answer that you did file?
So they won't fire this guy right now because he's a witness in a pending trial. But I can guarantee you, the day that this trial concludes, see you later, buddy. You're gone. You're gone. Because it would look really bad if Aperture fired him right now. They got to roll with it. They got to roll with it and do their PR cleanup after the trial. Here we go.
A document, your CV, in this federal court case that misstates the status of a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Business Administration.
Objection.
Patty.
Excuse me, Your Honor. You stated again, sir, that you have not filed a document that misstates your educational background, correct?
Correct.
And the last time I'll cover it, you know how to put currently pursuing on anything to do with a Bachelor of Science, correct?
Correct.
God, this guy smoked.
A Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration does not exist as an offered degree at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, does it?
Sure. So that is an error. Clearly, BGS stands for Bachelor's of General Studies, and that should have a with minor in Mathematics and Business Administration.
What is clear from that
How
document?
do you make an error on all of your education? How do you continuously make an error on all of your education? You don't get that straightened out? You don't look and see what a website is publishing about you in your public profile? Come on, dude.
Document that BGS stands for a Bachelor of General Studies. What is clear in that document about the definition of that acronym?
That is a known acronym.
Let's go back to Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration. That degree does not exist. It is not offered at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, correct?
No, it is not.
So therefore, an incorrect statement about your educational background was filed in a federal court in Texas, correct?
Ouch.
Yes, it was.
Ouch.
The
Deer in the
document
headlights.
that the attorney just showed you, did you submit that to the federal court?
No, I did not.
Did you ever see that document before it was filed?
No, I did not.
The document says 2024 for a degree. Is there a presumption whether you had it or expected it if that document was filed in 2023?
Yes, there is.
And what is the presumption if it was filed in 2023?
Objection, Your Honor, respect.
So presumption,
Oh.
we'll strike that.
Okay. He asked if there was any designation to make it clear. If it says 2020, if it was filed in 2023, and it says 2024, what was your expectation at that time as far as your degree?
That I would complete my degree in 2024.
When you didn't complete your
I
degree in
love this.
2024, as
Life
you
gets in the
expected,
way.
did you then change your CV
Yes, I did.
to accurately reflect the change in your status?
Yes, I did.
And what did you change it to?
Currently pursuing.
Why didn't you finish your degree in 2024?
Sure. So
Objection, Your Honor, still.
No, I'm going to allow it.
as most people can probably relate, work, family, and life many times get in the way. So as a personal objective, I would like to finish my bachelor's, but again, work and life gets in the way.
17 years.
Did you ever represent to a court that you had a degree that you didn't earn?
No, I have not.
He asked you a number of questions about this 2023 filing, but didn't ask you any questions about the data. Does your opinion regarding the data change in any way in light of his questions about a 2023 filing that you didn't file and someone filed on your behalf?
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection is sustained. I'm going to strike that question.
Oh, and by the way, I want to call this channel out. Megan Cuniff has been breaking these down into like awesome little bits and pieces and bites. I see Law and Crime Network doing this too. And I would just go check out her YouTube channel if you need to get kind of caught up on some of the condensed testimony. Okay, so today we start court. And Judge Bev comes in, starts court, and she stops court and says that she needs to speak to the jurors. And I want to play the opening of court and then play the end. And I want to compare and contrast the way that she spoke to the jury this morning. So let's start that off with Judge Bev arriving at the bench. And this is what she had to say this morning.
All right. Could I see counsel at sidebar, please?
Let me speed up. I thought I had it at the timestamp. I apologize. There we go.
Necessary that.
Oh, here we go.
Good morning, jurors. So an issue has come to my attention that is going to make it necessary that I talk to each one of you individually over at sidebar with counsel. So that process will take a little while. So I'm going to don't speculate as to what I'm going to talk to you about. Please, when you go back to the deliberation room, talk about anything but this case, and I'll see each of you individually. And the process may take the cameras will be shut off, and I'm going to talk to the lawyers about whether no filming. All right, send you back, and we'll get back. Thank you very much.
So that was the opening comment in court today. And I want you all to listen to the end of court and let's compare. And this kind of, I'm going to give you my perception of all of this when I play this clip here.
All right, so jurors, I know you don't like it when we're at sidebar. We don't like it when we're at sidebar, but I can tell you that after speaking to the lawyers now, we're ahead of schedule. And they've worked very hard to get us to this point where we're ahead of schedule so that tomorrow, instead of being a half a day, you have tomorrow off. So you have tomorrow and Friday, a good long weekend.
Ooh, White Claws.
Very, very important. Do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't say a word about this case. Don't let anybody say anything to you about this case. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. I believe next week, except for Thursday, are full days every day. Watch your social media use this weekend as well. Have a great long weekend. We'll see you here Tuesday morning, ready to go.
Court, all rise.
Someone might have said something. One of those jurors might have had a conversation or said something to someone in that courthouse or on a social media post. We heard rumors that they were monitoring the jurors' social media posts. So maybe something was said online. Maybe something was said in and around the courthouse. Again, I can only speculate. Maybe they overheard some jurors talking on their way up into the stairwell about something. We know that we've heard over the last couple of days there was some banter going on, some laughter going on during some of the testimony. So I think the personalities of these jurors are now starting to come out. When I was in there quite a few weeks ago, it was on like a Wednesday, and the jurors were just stone-faced. Their poker faces were on. But now as you start to sit through the trial and you start to hear the evidence and you're getting comfortable and locked in, you're taking notes and you're formulating your opinion now. Jurors might have been talking to each other. They're not supposed to right now. They're not supposed to do any type of deliberation inside the courtroom or in around the courthouse. That's for when the Commonwealth rests, the defense rests. They go to the jury room and they have those conversations. So again, that's only what I can think of. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this tomorrow night when I have Jess on the show. But, that led me to my theory in all of this. So someone probably heard something in around the courthouse. Maybe someone was, one of those jurors were talking to another juror. The social media post was a little weird that was mentioned. That kind of threw up my antennas as well, too. Maybe they were looking and saw someone post about it, or there was a question that was asked on a post. But again, can only speculate to this point. So, Bev said that at the end of the day, she talked about the social media post, which was weird. I don't know. Maybe a juror. I don't know. I'm trying to think. When I was on jury, did they take my phone? Did I have my phone when I was called to jury duty, or did they take them? I can't remember. Maybe someone that has done jury duty recently. Do they take your phone? I haven't done it in quite a few years. So I don't know if they take your phone when you go into the, I've been called to juries to be selected, but I can't remember if I had to give my phone up. I don't think I did. I think I could have it with me when we were actually waiting to be called up. If anybody is in here and done jury duty lately, let me know. Yeah, I heard something about that too, Darcy. I know Aiden was posting about that today, that some jurors might have been separated or changed seats. And again, they might have been talking in that jury box and they're not allowed to. Let's see. DJ says in Philadelphia, they take your phone. Lori says she had her phone last year. So I don't know. In New York, they take their phone. So it might be different in all different types of states. Olaf says you got to keep your phone in the jury room. Tammy says I did a grand jury for 3 months and we kept them. Yeah, I heard during the sidebars there was some chatting, so they moved them. Interesting. All right, let's see. Next, I want to talk about. What should we talk about first? Actually, this is going to lead in what I do want to talk about. All right, let's talk about Dr. Wolf. So Dr. Wolf gets up. He admits John O'Keefe had an injury unrelated to falling backwards. And then I want to talk a little bit about John DePietro. John DePietro's bullshit reporting, flat out lying today in his reporting on X. And he got caught by a lot of people. And the thing that pisses me off about this is that, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this tomorrow night with Jess, the randomizer for journalists to be picked and put inside that courtroom. So Jess and Aiden have only been according to this randomizer, been in the courtroom only 1 week. John DePietro has been there right now about 80% of the time. Actually, I think Grant Ellis Smith's been in there and called 100% of the time. And the thing that's pissing me off about John DePietro is that he's literally going in, he's lying about his reporting, and then he's taking up space for actual journalists that care about reporting factual information about this case. He's taking up a seat where we could have Jess Machado in there, we could have Aiden in there reporting to actually what is going on, telling the truth. He flat out lied today. And I'm going to bring up my screen here. So I put together a little bit of a presentation today about John DePietro. So, he's not even in court today. I think he held a seat in court today, but didn't fucking show up. So he's just taking a seat. And the fucking funny thing about this is Court TV is bringing him in for commentary. That's how fucking bad Court TV is right now. So he did a live show from, it looks like, his house today. Breaking news, Karen Retrial plus, and he goes, I got picked for next week, so I'm going to be in there. So I tweeted at him today, and I put the video up there that I caught him the other day when he just rolled into court. I say, John, you think you'll be able to show up on time next week instead of casually strolling in during a sidebar? There are journalists like Doc Turtleboy and Jess Machado who would be covering this case from the start if they were as they actually care and would be on time and ready to go. And these are some of his tweets. This is how fucking this guy is being called a credible journalist. So we got this back on May 20th, yesterday. Observation made to me last week by another press member. The contrast when the jury looks at the O'Keefe family, Peg and Paul always present, and friends who look like regular folk compared to the very different crowd of the Karen Read family and supporters. There's another tweet, May 20th. In my opinion, now he's a fucking mind reader. He can read what the jury is saying. The jury is just speaking to him like Trooper Paul. It just does. It just did. In my opinion, the juror takeaway from this witness is Karen Read's Lexus backed up. John's phone stopped moving. Resumes and LinkedIn don't factor. Credibility, education. If you're lying about that, you're lying about everything else. Sorry, pal. That's just the way it is. And then we got him in the lower corner here. Alessi'd ready to challenge him to a duel. He got fucking smoked. Man, Shannon got fucking smoked. Another tweet. Great strategic decision by Hank Brennan to schedule this powerful witness from Monday morning when the jury is fresh. Testimony is devastating to the defendant. He got fucking smoked. He absolutely got smoked. And this dumbass up here, you can't tell me if that's not a real LinkedIn profile. With all the talk about LinkedIn, this is just sent to me. Not sure if it's authentic. And if you look, it's Karen Read's. Someone made up a Karen Read LinkedIn and put drunken murderer defendant Fidelity when she was with Fidelity. You think Karen Read would actually make a link, change her LinkedIn to that, John? Come on, you're a award-winning journalist. I mean, I think you'd know a little bit better here. Wendy Murphy, I tried to respond to her today. She's got me blocked. So if she says, witness just confirmed that many of us have been saying John did not die instantly, and he moved after Karen Read swiped him and slammed into him into the ground. This is why his body was found further from the impact location. Seems logical if he was swiped. And I went to go tweet at her and said, "You're a moron. Stop reporting fake news." And I was trying to get Aiden to look at this, but she blocked me. And then Aiden was talking about DePietro. Did John DePietro commit jury tampering? This is very concerning. How does DePietro, a propagandist for Hank Brennan, know about these personal details? And he's talking, in my opinion, 1/3 of the jury are not college graduates. 50% are not on LinkedIn. This is no idea what defense is talking about. So are you looking up the jurors? Are you trying to find them on LinkedIn? And how would you know their names to look them up? How would you know their names to look them up? And then Sleuthy fighting, coming back at him. I'd ask him myself, but I'm blocked. Is he implying that he knows the names, here we go, of all the jurors and therefore able to search for them on LinkedIn? Who even is this dude besides a friend of Jennifer McCabe's? And remember, he is a friend of Jennifer McCabe. He's been seen outside that courthouse multiple times. I go to his fucking website today. I go to his website that looks like something from 1980. And he's like, "Oh, I'm a reporter on the Karen Reed trial." Dude, you haven't even been there. You weren't even there. I think you showed up like once or twice during the first trial. And now that you're getting in the courtroom, oh, you're the big courtroom correspondent in the Karen Reed trial? All right, let me go back to this. And this is the one that fucking made me go off the hinge. John DePietro, witness of the day and possibly the week. Dr. Wolf testified John O'Keefe died from his head being slammed into the frozen ground after being struck by Karen Reed's SUV. Unimpeachable witness. Prosecution heads into the long weekend with a bombshell. That is a lie. That is a flat up lie. And I'm going to show you that is a lie. That is an absolute lie. And I tweeted to him, "You are flat out lying." Wolf never testified that John O'Keefe's injuries were caused by hitting his head on frozen ground. During direct examination, Brennan attempted to introduce the phrase cold, hard ground, suggesting that it referred to the yard at 34 Fairview. But that was objected to, and Bev sustained that objection. Additionally, Wolf never testified that John O'Keefe was struck by Karen Reed's SUV. That is a lie, a flat out lie. I'm going to show you the segment about the frozen ground segment. This guy has no journalistic integrity. He has absolutely no journalistic integrity. He doesn't need to be inside that courtroom. He's flat out lying. And it pisses me off because a credible journalist like Dr. Aiden or Jess Machado could be sitting in that seat reporting the facts. Yeah, exactly, Darcy. When his head hit the cement in the basement. All right, let me go to this here. This is the frozen ground segment. Listen, DePietro's lying.
The linear acceleration starts to take you back down with gravity. The skull hits the ground. It gets, in layman's terms, smashed a little bit. And then the brain moves forward as a response to that. And it moves forward because you have cerebral spinal fluid and because you have the deceleration, acceleration again. As it does, your skull, if you were to look inside your skull, it's like mini mountains along your temporal bones and your frontal bones. So the brain is being thrust forward at a fairly good speed, and it's getting bruised. You can think of it as if you took a hammer to your thumb. It's really turning black and blue. Those are the contusions. And so the temporal poles and the frontal poles are getting contusions because of that. At the same time, you have a space called the subarachnoid space. And I'm sure they're going to hear about the subarachnoid hemorrhage. And that space is the...
He's fucking Dr. Klopek from the Burbs. I mean, let's just face it. let's just face it. And the famous saying towards the end of the movie when he's approaching Tom Hanks. Come on now, Mr. Peterson. You were in my basement. Surely you looked in my furnace. He's fucking Klopek. This is fucking Dr. Klopek. This is Klopek from The Burbs. I put a comparison out today. That is fucking Dr. Klopek. That is him. You know the movie. You know The Burbs with Tom Hanks. That is fucking Klopek. I want one of your skulls. You seen my skulls, right? Fuck guy. All right, let's get to the frozen ground. Because he didn't say it. He absolutely did not say it. Oh God, I can't with this shit. All right, let's
it's very clear, thin membrane that covers all of your brain and all of your spinal cord. And normally you really don't see it unless you open up the brain and you're operating. But when you either have a traumatic event like this where little vessels are pulling apart underneath that membrane, or for example, the classic, when you have an aneurysm burst, the space that the aneurysm bleeds to is the subarachnoid space. The other thing that occurs in trauma like this is you can get a subdural. So the dura is the membrane that covers the whole brain and also right down your spinal canal. And it's a very thin membrane that looks like very thin leather. And in that space between the brain and the dura can be a lot of veins that go towards a central vein called the sagittal sinus. And if those tear, you have a venous hemorrhage from, which is not arterial, so it's not quick, but that can develop into a subdural as well. If you tear a portion of your brain as well, and you get a little arterial bleeds, that could create a much faster subdural hematoma. And so when you look at the pathology, the autopsy of his brain, you're looking at a subarachnoid hemorrhage, you're looking at a subdural hemorrhage, neither one of them which was huge or would have required surgery, as well as the contusions that I described in his frontal poles, in his temporal poles, and then the original bang, which was in the occipital area. These are all findings that you would see on a CT scan and an MRI scan without requiring an autopsy if he had made it to the emergency room.
All right, here we go.
I want to take a step back.
Look, okay, John DePietro, I need you to tell me where he's going to say and testify to frozen ground. Let's hear how slick Hank Brennan tries to get and slide in cold frozen ground. Let's see it.
At the beginning, you said that this laceration on the back of his head was caused by a fall. Could this be caused by a fall landing on hard ground?
Yes,
on hard ground. Now Brennan fucked up because he knows that's signaling the basement. So now he's going to take it outside the house. Oh shit, how am I going to recover? He's going to ask him again and he's going to slip in cold hard ground. Real quick, Aneurysm by Nirvana, great track. It is a great track. That's on, what one is that on? Oh, that is on. What album was that on? Shit. Slipped my mind. I'll find it. What album was that on? It was an earlier release. It was all like the B-sides. Incesticide. All right, anyway, let's get back. I want you all to hear this. Ready? He's going to say on the hard ground, and then he's going to go on the cold hard ground, and you're going to hear Alessi object right away.
Laceration on the back of his head was caused by a fall. Could this be caused by a fall landing on hard ground?
Hard ground.
Yes. Like I said, it's a classic blunt trauma laceration.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty whether this injury, the laceration and the basal fracture, was caused by Mr. O'Keefe falling backwards on the ground?
On the ground.
My opinion is that that's what caused his whole injury.
Here it comes.
The pattern of the laceration, do you have an opinion whether that is consistent with hitting the cold, hard ground?
He tried slipping it in the cold hard ground. The cold hard ground. Ah, I saw what you did, Spanky. He thought he was going to slip this in. Slippery when wet.
Pattern of the laceration, do you have an opinion whether that is consistent with hitting the cold, hard ground?
Objection, Your Honor. Can we have sidebar on that?
Yeah.
So I'm sustaining the objection, so no sidebar.
Your Honor.
Do you have an opinion, doctor, about whether that laceration on the back of his head?
So now what he's going to do, is he can't get cold, hard ground. He can't get, I don't even know where frozen ground came back from. He doesn't even say it in this testimony at all. So that's another lie by DiPietro. But what he's going to do here is Brennan knows he's fucked. So now he's going to go, oh, doctor, you're from Minnesota, right? And there's cold weather out there and snowstorms and people slip on ice, correct? And they hit their head. He's going to try to imply to the jury that the weather condition had something to do with this. He's implying that the weather that day is all lumped in with John's injury. That's why he's going to ask him where he's from. Oh, you're from Minnesota. They had a lot of snowstorms. They slip on ice. Yeah.
Was caused by a particular movement.
Well, the only way he could get this kind of an injury was to fall backwards, hit the back of his head, and then the resulting, energy forces going into his brain, into his base of his skull.
Would that type of laceration require Mr. O'Keefe to have hit a line type or ridge type object?
A ridge type of object?
Yes.
No, I mean, like I said, the tearing of the skin in that fashion, you could look it up, would be just a classic blunt trauma injury.
Is there anything about that injury that would suggest
This is very disastrous for the Commonwealth right now.
to you it had to have been something sharp or ridge-like to cause?
Objection, Your Honor. We again request kindly a sidebar on this.
All right, we'll come to that.
Thank you.
I'm going to speed up. And I want to start with Minnesota. Oh, where are you from, doctor? Minnesota. Cold weather, ice, you can slip.
So as we were discussing, Dr. Wolf, you said this is a classic fall backwards. Is there anything about the pattern of that laceration that would suggest that there was a ridge or a line type edge that caused that wound?
Not necessarily.
And have you seen, in your experience, similar types of lacerations and breaks caused by falling on hard ground?
Yes, you can see that both in the occipital region. You can see it if patients fall on the, forehead. The skin tears, they're still bridging, and then they get bruises.
Some of your work was in Minnesota.
Here we go.
Correct.
Was it a colder part of?
See, he's going to throw cold in there now. You're from Minnesota. It's cold there. He knew he couldn't get it in before, but he's going to try here.
Minnesota?
Very cold part of Minnesota. It's Minneapolis.
I'm sorry. Did you often see these type of injuries there?
Yes. I mean, we took care of a trauma center, Hennepin County. Very frequently, patients that are drunk fall down on ice sidewalks and could develop, lacerations in their head, epidurals.
So he just fucked the Commonwealth. Someone could be drunk. They could slip and fall and hit their head. That's another theory that the jury could look at this. We know what happened. We know everything that happened inside 34 Fairview. But if they were doubting now, this could be another theory. Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe John went into the house and then he came out and he slipped and he fell back and hit his head and laid there, and no one came and helped him. Karen went home. Fuck the Commonwealth. This is screwing them bad right now.
Which are blood clots above the dura because they fracture a bone in the temporal area and they can get a bleed from a fractured artery. And it happens when people are shoveling snow and have a heart attack and fall backwards.
Oh, Bob.
So there are various ways that people fall, resulting in head injuries and lacerations to their forehead or to different areas of their head.
Can somebody suffer this type of injury simply by falling backwards?
Absolutely.
Yep.
You had taken us through the process of falling backwards and then talked about what happens to the brain. Can I ask you a couple of detailed questions about that?
Sure.
When you explained that the brain upon impact then shifts forward and hits the front of the skull, is there a medical term for that process?
Well, the medical term is a coup counter coup injury. So the coup is when you first hit. In this case, it was the back of the head, as summarized by the laceration in the back of the head and the contusions that the pathologist and the ME found in the back of the brain. And then the brain shifts forward, and as it's traveling at a certain velocity, because it's thrust forward on the floor of the base of the skull, it's getting bumped, and it's getting, again, you can think of it as a hammer hitting a thumb. It's getting black and blue in the areas that are sharpest.
Are there symptoms that result of the process coup counter coup?
This is clinically, it varies. I mean, you can go from anywhere from a simple concussion where you sort of are unaware of what happened, but you're still awake, you're confused, all the way to, ultimately being in a coma.
Can this type of injury, the coup counter coup, and what you see in the review of your files, could this type of injury happen from an attack by a weapon, like a bat or a hammer?
Well, he did not have a depressed skull fracture. So any focal hit like that would more likely than not have caused a depressed skull fracture. Blunt trauma, the way he had, the assumption, would cause the coup counter coup without a depressed skull fracture.
When the coup counter coup process happens with the skull fracture, does anything happen to the front of the skull?
Well, you're asking me, does the rest, I mean, the forces, depending on how hard they are, can generate fracture lines all the way to the anterior fossa. So you can have fractures along the lateral temporal area. You can have fractures along the orbital roof. The orbital roof is very thin. And so those forces can go all the way to that area.
Did you see any sign of orbital fractures in Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes, he had both the ME and the pictures taken, and the neuropathologist mentioned fractures of the orbital roof.
Do you have?
I wonder how those got there. 6 rounds with Tyson. I know someone that I was in high school with freshman year, when we used to all get bullied. We used to all get bullied in high school. And I actually remember the kid's name, Corey Colito. He was in auto repair shop. I went to a trade school, auto repair shop. My shop was the second to last. So it was auto repair, auto body, which was the class that I was in. And it was metal fab and what else did they have down there? Metal fab and welding, maybe. And they used to mix the freshmen with the juniors, freshmen with the juniors and sophomores with the seniors. And my freshman year, we come out, We're walking to lunch, and there was a bully, and his name was Bob Smith. And he used to bully everybody and beat the shit out of them, the freshman kids. And Corey was walking to lunch. Bob Smith cornered him for no reason, wanted to just pick on someone for the day. He hit Corey in the fucking eye and cracked his orbital bone. And of course, because this Bob Smith kid was a kiss ass, used to get away with all this stuff and say, oh, well, he started it first. And, used to get away with it. I had to defend myself. But I remember punched him and cracked his orbital bone. It can happen. All right. Let's get to a little bit more testimony here. Alessi's and gets the doc to admit that John O'Keefe had an unrelated injury to falling backwards. Here we go.
Morning, doctor. I don't think we've had the pleasure of meeting. Welcome.
Thank you.
Sir, can you just describe, you started to do it a little bit on direct, a typical day for you?
I wake up at 4:15 in the morning. I go to my center. I set up patients with frames for their either radiosurgical procedures or stereotactic craniotomies. I go home. I make cappuccino for my wife at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I get back to work at 6:30 and move on. I have patients that I'm operating on, and I have patients that I'm seeing through the day.
What type of patients and what type of work? Just in a typical day. What are you doing? What type of patients and what do you do?
It varies. I mean, I see patients with brain tumors. I see patients with hydrocephalus, which is water in their brain. I see pediatric brain tumors. I see subacute and chronic subdural hematomas, post-traumatic. I see patients with strokes that are being misdiagnosed. I see patients with cancer, metastatic disease. I used to see patients with cervical problems. I stopped doing that 2 years ago. I don't know what else you want me to tell you.
No, that's great. And is that typical day, typical of the type of days you've had for the past month, past few years? Is it generally, without specifics, is it generally?
Correct.
So none of your typical days, none of the past typical months have involved forensic pathology, have they?
Uh-oh.
You haven't acted as a forensic pathologist.
I am, you could have asked that question, very straightforward. I am not a forensic pathologist. I'm a brain surgeon.
Right. And you don't perform autopsies, correct, sir? You're a brain surgeon.
Correct. In other words, I see more brains than the forensic pathologist.
Right. And is it correct to say that the brains that you see are of living people?
Correct.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is to go to a different part of the head than was discussed, but sticking with the decedent.
Excuse me, I didn't hear the last word.
I'm sorry, with the topic is going to be Mr. O'Keefe, the decedent in this matter, sir. You testified about raccoon eyes. The medical term for that, sir, is ecchymosis, right?
Correct.
And ecchymosis, raccoon eyes, does not cause a laceration to form on an eyelid, does it?
No.
Uh-oh.
Are you aware that Mr. O'Keefe had a laceration to the outside area of his right upper eyelid?
I am aware that the ME described that. Yes, sir.
Now, could, Your Honor, I'm going to, with Your Honor's permission, ask to publish what is already in evidence in a moment.
Okay.
Mr. Wolk,
What exhibit number, Mr. Alessi?
we're going to 165, Your Honor.
Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you. Dr. Wolf, have you seen this photo depiction before today?
I believe I have.
Is it correct that that injury on the upper right eyelid is caused by the application of force directly to that area of the front of the head, again, namely the upper eyelid?
That's possible, yes.
Is it more than possible? Is it probable that that injury was caused by the application of force directly to that area of the front of his head?
Well, an easy answer to that would be is that that's not part of the periorbital ecchymosis.
Thank you, sir. That was exactly going to be my next question. This injury is unrelated to any of what you've been describing, the fall backwards, the force transfer inside the skull, the, as you described it, the dura, the cerebral spinal fluid, all of that dynamic that you so ably described on your direct examination. This injury has nothing to do with that, correct?
Correct.
Whoops. And that's that. All right. Woo. Has not been a very good couple of days for the Commonwealth. All right, let's end with this tonight. Alan Jackson gets up and emphasizes the plastic pieces may not have come from Karen Reed's taillight on cross-examination with Mass State Police State Crime Lab Tech Christina Henley. Let me pull that up. I'm going to watch this and watch Jackson do his magic.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hanley.
Good afternoon.
Nice to see you again. We met about a year ago. First things first, you were just talking about some plastic pieces in 7-18.8, correct?
It was 7-18.18.
0.18. I left the one out. 7-18.18.
Olaf, the Russian metalhead, $2. His brains, Brian's, the same thing. Thank you. All right, let's
With
go.
a lot of numbers. I'm going to see if we can cut through that here in a second. Sure. First of all, you indicated that you were doing a comparative analysis and different.
By the way, a lot of talk here about who this gentleman is right here. And I don't know if you can see my pointer. He is a student. He is a student lawyer and has been sitting in, helping, assisting. Here we go.
Sort of different categorical ways using microscopy, using the microspec, using the FTIR. I think you also use the FTIR in that as well.
Yes.
And you indicated that your analysis concluded with those pieces could have come from the same source, from the source in 3-1, the taillight. But you're not conclusively saying they did, correct?
It could have come from. They could have a common origin, or it could have come from another source with the same characteristics.
Right. So in other words, another way to say that, Ms. Hanley, is it may have come from the taillight, may not have.
It's a possibility.
Okay. I also want to ask you real quick about the taillight manufacturer. You were shown an exhibit. I think it's exhibit 200, and I think we have that available. With the court's permission, we don't have to cut the lights. I think the lighting is just fine. This is exhibit or a photograph of exhibit 200 that you saw just a second ago. Quick question about that. In your inspection of that taillight, it's true, is it not, that is manufactured entirely of plastic or plasticine pieces? There is no glass in that taillight, correct?
I'm going to go back to this now. I'm going back to this. This is a real fucking problem in this case. A real fucking problem in this case. If this taillight exploded, like the Commonwealth is saying, and they're showing here, okay? If this taillight exploded, and we have 72 pieces all over the lawn, and Karen drove home to One Meadows. You have snowfall. The salt and sanders have been out. The plows have been out. She wakes up and goes back to 34 Fairview at approximately 5 o'clock in the morning. Salt and sand on the road. Water everywhere. Snow everywhere. Why are there no water droplets? Why are there no water droplets on this taillight? Why is there no salt and sand on this taillight? We saw salt and sand all over Karen's SUV, those photos inside the Sallyport video. Look how clean this taillight looks. There should be water droplets inside that taillight if it was smashed by Karen backing up and hitting John O'Keefe. You can't clean evidence and then take photos of it. You don't do that. You can't do that. That would be tampering with evidence. This absolutely makes no fucking sense to me. No fucking sense to me. And if the jury doesn't see this, I don't know. Someone has to be sitting there and going, why isn't there no water spots all over it? Why didn't it look like it was wet? Why didn't it look like there was salt all over it, or dirt or debris? This fucking looks like it literally came out of a factory box and someone took a hammer and smashed it. That's what it looks like. This is a big problem.
I have to check my notes. I don't think I noted any glass.
Okay.
Look how clean that
So in other
is.
words, you didn't note any glass inherent in the manufacture of that taillight. It's basically plastic.
Yeah, I think most of the parts were plastic. I'm not 100% sure if the entire thing was plastic. There may have been other material, but portions were plastic.
But you certainly didn't see any glass inherent in the manufacture process.
I'd have to double check my notes, but I don't think I did.
Okay.
Do you want her to check her notes?
Why don't you? Are your notes in front of you?
Yes.
With the court's permission.
Okay, so I did not make any notation that I noted portions that were glass.
Great. Final point before we get into the actual analysis on any of the glass.
No, it's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if this taillight exploded, listen to me. If this taillight exploded at the crime scene, like the Commonwealth is saying, Karen Reed's taillight, we know it was removed. She drove around a couple of times within that night. In the morning, there would be salt and debris and water spots all over that taillight. That's what I'm saying. Not that they went out and ordered a new one and smashed it and then presented it as Karen Reed's taillight. That's not what I'm saying. Her original taillight would have salt, debris, and water spots all over it. Inside that compartment, what we just saw. And I don't have a pointer. It would be literally inside of.
This is exhibit or a photograph in pieces. There is no glass.
That part right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Probably not. That big shiny black part that has the two red ends on it, that would have salt and debris all in it. There would be water spots all over that. You can't clean evidence and then take photos of it. You can't do that. All right, let's go back to where
I don't think I did.
Okay.
Do you want her to check her notes?
Why don't you? Are your notes in front of you?
Yes.
With the court's permission.
Okay, so I did not make any notation that I noted portions that were glass.
Great. Final point before we get into the actual analysis on any of the glass. I want to shift gears to just the glass material that you analyzed and that you looked at and you inspected. You saw no blood, no skin, no biological material, no tissue, human tissue or otherwise, on any of those pieces that you inspected, did you?
Upon examination of those items, making observations of those types of material, that's not my area of expertise.
So she's getting walked in here. And the defense, the Commonwealth has talked to her. They've prepped her, and she's getting walked in by Jackson, and she's trying to distance again as far as she can.
Didn't I don't think I noted anything that was maybe consistent with that.
So in other words, even though you're not in the bio material expert section of the lab, you certainly would have noted if there was skin or biological material or obvious blood on glass pieces. You're looking at them in many cases through a microscope, correct?
Yes, I would have made note of observations of anything that I would have noted on the surface.
Great, and you did not, because you didn't see anything. You suggested that, right?
I think I just made note, I'm going to have to check each item, but I think I did note that there was some dirt debris on some of the items.
But not biological material.
I did not note anything that would be maybe consistent with that.
Great, thank you. I want to talk about the comparisons that you did. And you'll forgive me, I'm a visual learner. So I'd like to talk about it in 4 categories.
Okay.
Linear categories. Category 1, item 3-2. Category 2, item 3-3. Category 3, item 7-12. Category 4, item 7-14. 3-2, 3-3, 7-12, 7-14. Can we talk about it in those particulars?
Sure.
Okay. 3-2 was the cup, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I'm going to use the word cup rather than glass for obvious reasons. You can get confused by that. So when I say,
and this is great too, that Jackson's giving names to these items now instead of the number that it is in evidence. So you can start to kind of, tell the jury you're getting a feel for these items and the things that he's talking about instead of a number. I love this.
the cup, do you know what I'm talking about?
Item 3-2.
Great. 3-3 are the 5 items that were found on the bumper, claimed to have been found on the bumper by NSA.
Glass shards or whatever the hell it is, yeah.
Yes.
5 items, A, B, C, D, and E, correct?
Correct.
Item 7-12 are 9 items, glass items, that were recovered at 34 Fairview by Trooper Buchanan in an evidence envelope, correct?
So sustained as to who they were recovered from.
Sure. Did you receive the items along with an evidence envelope?
I need to double check if it was an envelope, but I received it packaged.
Okay. And the packaging normally, under normal circumstances, the packaging comes with labels. It gives you reference about where things came from. For instance, when Mr. Lally asked you, were you aware or did you become aware that items were claimed to have been found on the bumper? You didn't actually find those items, but that was the description you were given, correct?
That was the description of the item in our limb system.
Okay. And going back to
SK checking in on the Twitter or X. We just call it X now. Did you announce the poster winner? We did. And the poster winner was Lauren Kinney, Kinney. And they needed to reach out to Meredith. And I'll reach out to her in a day or two and see if the winner came forward. But Lauren Kinney, Kinney. Please get in touch with Meredith O'Neill, Turtle Boy's girlfriend, or you can email me at letstalklivepodcast@gmail.com. But we did announce it. Thank you for checking us out on X. All right, here we go.
to 7-12, that's our third category.
Excuse me.
Was that described as 9 pieces of glass that were found at 34 Fairview by a sergeant by the name of Buchanan? Or do you recall that?
I am not sure who recovered them.
Well, what it said on the evidence envelope, that's what I'm asking.
Excuse me.
I would have to check my photos to see if it says that.
We'll get to that in just a second, but fair enough. 7-12, 9 items, A, B, C, D, E, and if my memory serves, I, K, and L.
I'd have to refer to my notes to.
Can you please?
Yes. So the 9 pieces of glass from 7-12 were labeled A, B, C, D, E, F, I, K, and L.
Great. And then finally, what was in 7-14, that's an easy one, 1 piece of glass.
That's correct.
Okay. Ground Mayor approach.
Yes.
I've never seen. I did not take this photo.
Understood.
So I'm not. I haven't seen them, so I don't know.
So I'm asking you to look. I know you haven't seen that photo. Does it look like a cup?
It looks consistent with the cup.
Okay. Take a look at the second photo. Do you recognize what's depicted in that photo?
So I did not take this photo. It appears to be a photo of a container that another analyst took a photo of item 7-12.
And item 7-12, once again, included plastic pieces and 9 glass pieces, correct?
Correct.
You don't think that she's not trying to distance herself from this case? I didn't take that photo. That wasn't me. You don't think that she's trying to distance herself right now, knowing all the shit that went down? These witnesses know.
Do you see the evidence label on the very top of that evidence envelope?
I'm not sure which label you're talking about.
One under the red tape.
Yes.
Does that appear to be a label marker that's done to maintain chain of custody?
So I think that label.
Oh, shit.
Sorry.
Sure, can we bring these over?
Sure. Ms. Hanley, you see the chalk that's, or actually what's been marked as Exhibit 205 in evidence on the screen?
Yes.
Is that consistent with what you and I were just talking about at the witness stand?
Uh-oh.
Yes.
If you'll direct your attention to the screen on the right, just because it's a little easier and I think the laser pointer shows up a little better. You see the 4 categories represented in this exhibit?
Yes.
Okay, so 3-2, I'm going to go over it very quickly one more time, just visually. 3-2 on the left is the cup, correct?
Yes.
3-3 represents the 5 pieces of glass of what we call the bumper glass, A, B, C, D, and E, correct?
Yes.
7-12 is the 9 pieces of glass recovered by Trooper Buchanan at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
And finally, 7-14 is the single piece of glass recovered by Trooper Proctor, correct?
Yes.
Taking these one by one, just so everybody see. Taking these one by one, looking at starting with bumper glass, category 2. Piece A did not match the cup, anything in 7-12 or anything in 7-14, correct?
That's correct.
Piece B did not match the cup, did not match anything in 7-12, did not match anything in 7-14, correct?
That's correct.
And moving over to category 3, there were.
So basically what they're saying is, and just to kind of break this down is, if you look, he's talking about the bumper glass that was supposedly found on the back of this bumper, okay? Who recovered those pieces of items? You have Buchanan, 7-12. If you look at the chart, 7-12, and who recovered glass, also recovered glass, 7-14. All this glass that was recovered by Buchanan and Proctor does not match anything of that bumper glass. That's what he's trying to get here. So it's kind of like match game. So I'm just trying to break it down. I know a couple people were like, I was really confused by this. It's match game. Cup. Okay, they're naming the cup. If you look here, cup. Buchanan, 9 pieces. It does not match anything on that bumper. Glass that was recovered by Proctor, 7-12, does not match anything on that bumper. So if they're saying that John was holding the glass and Karen backed into him and that glass exploded and ended up on the bumper, while the glass that's in John's hand that they tested doesn't match any of those pieces that are on that bumper. So where did those pieces from the bumper glass come from? Probably a fucking glass that was smashed inside the PD and they sprinkled it on there like crack cocaine, sprinkle some crack on them. Like Dave Chappelle, just sprinkle some crack around. That's what they did. They probably found a glass, smashed it at the PD, sprinkled on there, and they took the photo and, oh, look, there's glass all over the bumper, and John had that glass in his hand. So, all right, let's keep playing. Hopefully I figured that. Did everybody kind of get what I was getting at there? Let me know in the chat. Yes, crack sprinkles. Sprinkle some crack on them. It'll be okay. You've seen the skit. Did everybody understand now? All right. So hopefully that kind of cleared it up. I know it confused me at first, but when I had time to kind of backtrack and look at it, it made a lot more sense to me. All right, let's go back here. about 10 seconds, and then we'll.
Did not match the cup. Did not match anything in 712. Did not match anything in 714. Correct.
That's correct.
And moving over to category 3, there were some matches in these 9 items. 6 of them: A, B, C, D, F, and K. Correct.
Yes.
But what those matched, Ms. Hanley, with a cup, nothing on the bumper. Correct.
Correct.
And what didn't match the cup.
What he means is the cup at the scene. So if you look up here in the left, that was the cup that was recovered.
E, I, and L. Is that right?
That's correct.
Moving back to category 2, however, there was one thing, item E, that did match something in this series of categories. Isn't that right?
Not a physical match, but instrumentally there was consistency.
All right. And this was an item, the only piece of
proctored.
bumper glass, the only piece of bumper glass to match anything else in your analysis. Matched what? It was consistent with what?
Item 3-3, piece E, was consistent in physical and instrumental properties with the sample that I took from item 7-14.
Which is the single piece of glass recovered by Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes.
But not a single piece of glass, nothing that you analyzed coming from that bumper matched the cup. Did it? Nothing.
Physical match comparison. There was no physical match comparison to the cup.
That's the problem. That's the big problem.
We can
Look at
take
her
this down,
face. She's like, oh shit. Yeah, she knows. I kind of feel like she's been put in a position by the Commonwealth.
Your Honor, that's all I have.
Ouch.
Now, Ms. Hanley, as far as you were asked some questions on
Now
cross-examination
Lally's going to try to clean this one up, and it's going to fail.
about biological pieces or tissue or things being on the glass, and you referenced that was done in another unit, correct?
Yes, if
Now Lally's shitting. He's nervous. Those are all little nervous ticks. He's fucked. He knows there's no way he's going to be able to back out of this one. He's going to try, but it's not going to work.
if that type of
Look at him.
examination was needed, that would be done in a different unit.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that, but next question.
Which unit would that be conducted in?
Objection.
So the objection sustained. You need more, Mr. Lally, before you move on.
Now, as far as the chalk that you were just presented, as far as the 4 photographs that were depicted in there, have you ever seen any of those 4 photographs before?
No.
Do you know specifically who or where any of the items?
The photographs don't matter, sir. The photographs don't matter, sir. It's the physical evidence that matters. He's going to try to go to the photographs. Have you ever seen those photographs before? Did you know who took those photographs? Doesn't matter. The physical evidence matters, sir.
3-2, 3-3, 7-12, or 7-4 were physically recovered from?
I just have the description.
Oh, she don't know where they were physically recovered from, but the 2 investigators in this case certainly know where they were recovered from, or so they say where they were recovered from. That's the evidence, not the photos, the evidence.
That's put in the limb system when it's submitted to the lab.
And do you know that 3-2, the drinking glass, was recovered by the Canton Police Department on January 29th, 2022?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you know that item 3-3, the bumper glass, was recovered by Ms. Maureen Hartnett from your lab on February 1st, 2022?
Sustained.
She's scared.
Do you know that each of the 4 items were recovered by different people on different dates at different locations?
Scared.
Yes.
And Ms. Hanley, from your conclusions that you testified about before, you found that the item 3-2, the drinking glass, was consistent with 6 different pieces from item 7-12 that were found in the roadway outside of 34 Fairview Road, correct?
That's correct.
And you also found that piece E from item 3-3, the bumper glass, was consistent with the single piece from item 7-14 that was found in the roadway outside of 34 Fairview Road. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you also found that items from 7-18.18, the debris from Mr. O'Keefe's clothing, were consistent with the item 3-1, the taillight housing, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Sustained as to form.
Now, as far as the chalk that you were presented with on cross-examination, was there anything in there about item 7-18.18 or item 3-1, either the taillight housing or the debris from Mr. O'Keefe's clothing?
No, there was not.
Nothing further.
Anything?
Very briefly. So in sum,
She doesn't want any part of this.
on that bumper could be connected to that cup, correct?
There was no physical match to the pieces that I compared for physical match from the bumper. There was no physical match to the glass cup 3-2.
Thank you. So another way of saying that is not a single piece of glass that you analyzed on that bumper match that cup, correct?
Sustained.
Oh, and she was going to say correct. She was going to say correct. Jackson asked her again. So what you're saying is that none of the physical pieces that are on that bumper matched the cup, meaning the cup that was found at the scene at 34 Fairview matched the back of that bumper. And she was going to say correct. And there was an objection. And it should have been let in. But the jury saw it. And she knew she fucked up because you can look at her, muffle her mouth. I'm going to go back. Watch closely.
Correct.
There was no physical match to the pieces that I compared for physical match from the bumper. There was no physical match to the glass cup 3-2.
Thank you. So another way of saying that is not a single piece of glass that you analyzed on that bumper match that cup,
Sustained.
Oops. She knows she fucked
one
up.
piece of glass that did match something came from the same source. It was consistent with coming from the same source as the single piece of glass recovered on possession of or bagged by Trooper Michael Proctor. Correct?
It was consistent with item 7-14.
That's all.
That's
All right,
it.
Ms. Hanley, you are all set.
That's it. Bang. There it is. Bad, horrible day for the Commonwealth. Absolutely horrible, horrible day. The Commonwealth. They're burying themselves. And I mean, are there Vegas odds out there? I mean, I would bet Vegas odds that the Reed team's winning by a landslide. If the jury doesn't see this, you got to see what's going on here. I mean, nothing is matching. There's so much reasonable doubt here. Commonwealth's fucked. I just don't see. I don't see how they're winning. This is a brutal display of a case. I gotta actually say, I think Lally actually brought a better case the first time around. Brennan is sinking and sinking hard, and they know it. I'm telling you, they can feel it. All right, everybody. I'm gonna wrap this one up for tonight. It's been about an hour and a half here. Again, Jess Machado could not join me tonight, but she will be live with me tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll go over pretty much everything that we're going to talk about. I want her to get into the randomizer for being picked inside the courtroom. I'm going to pick her brain on that, and we're also going to talk about the charges that were dropped against Turtle Boy. So come see us tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I can't wait to see all of you here. If you don't, hopefully to catch it back on replay. I hope everybody has a wonderful and safe long weekend, and court will resume back on Tuesday. Go have a couple of White Claws this weekend. Please be safe. And if you're drinking, don't drive. Okay. Call an Uber, call a friend, be safe in what you're doing. I'll see you back here tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.